And away we go. Welcome to Wednesday. Chico Borman Show here on the Big Play Sports Network. Good to have you along with you until 2, as we do each and every day, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 here at the Big Play Sports Network. We broadcast live from Burke Lakefront Airport. Beautiful studios up here. A little bit of the white stuff overnight. Oh, yeah. Nothing says November like old man. This wasn't anything. Although I will say, people were making a huge deal about it. Like when I first woke up, like about 5 this morning, and like I wasn't near, right near. I had to get out of bed. Damn you people. I wasn't near a window right away, so I just assumed, like, wow, did we get like 4 to 6 or something? And there's white stuff out there, but it's November, it's Ohio. I love the seasons. I don't always like driving in it. I'll be honest about it, but I love the seasons. I got no problem with it. So welcome to November, welcome to winter, welcome to, well, if you're new to the town, welcome to football. In Cleveland this time of the year, where we have a lot to get to, a lot going on, as you can imagine, and we will cover that here this afternoon over the next couple of hours. Follow us on Twitter if you're not doing so already, at Chico Show, CLE. I almost said at Clee Show, CHICO.
Oh, we're changing the name now.
That'd be like ambidextrous. Is that what they call it? Yeah. So at Chico Show CLE. Also head over to YouTube and subscribe there. Our YouTube channel, The Chico Borman Show. And, of course, podcasts, wherever you get them. Spotify, Apple. Go ahead and treat yourself to that. And also we have the live stream on iHeartRadio. Okay, well, let's get right to it. We do have baseball, World Series. Texas takes a commanding 3-1 lead. We'll talk to Booney just after 1. But we begin, where else are we going to begin? The Browns, the trade deadline came and went yesterday at 4. And as everyone predicted, Donovan Peoples-Jones would go to the Lions for a 6th-round pick, and that'd be all she wrote. Here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I was, like, upset or maybe a mild surprise. I mean, I don't think it was a given. I think they tried, okay? I think Andrew Berry tried. And I think he did kick the tires, whether it be Josh Dobbs, who ended up in Minnesota, Jacoby Brissett. It didn't happen. Did they want a 3rd-rounder? I don't know. I do know a couple of things. And with this team, that's saying a lot, because it's really hard to glean things from Berea these days. I mean, really, really difficult. The Browns are 4-3. And they are in the thick of things, not only in their division. Obviously, Baltimore is 6-2, and themselves, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh's all 4-3, but in the AFC. However, while they have some very good wins, clearly, Cincinnati, San Francisco, you had a win last week, controversial play calling, I know, but at the center of it all, this has been very poor quarterback play. Now, how poor, boom. Let's play the game. How poor do you think the Browns quarterback play has been? Don't hit Google. Just off the top of your head, what do you think? 1 through 32.
I'm going to say 31.
32.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn it, I was going to say that at first, too.
Yeah, it's...
I did see like some next-gen stat of how P.J. Walker has the worst percentage of missed throws to open receivers.
Yeah. Like in total QBR, I believe it goes to Sean 32 or 33 or wherever, and right in front of him is PJ. And to take that a step further, it's about turnovers. It's what we've been saying. It's about turnovers. Nobody is expecting, at least not yet with Deshaun, because we don't know if he's healthy, when he's going to be healthy. More on that in a moment. So I don't think anybody is sitting here expecting Deshaun Watson, P.J. Walker to just, or especially P.J. Walker, to just start making plays all over the field. But you can't be turning the ball over. 17 takeaways. Like, this is not a smoke and mirrors operation we're talking about when we talk about quarterback play. They're dead last, and damn it, they've earned that dead last ranking in quarterback play because they've turned it over 17 times. 1-7. And yes, they had a bye week in there. It's been bad. So with no move, you're basically saying, well, this is what we've got. Now, over the last 24 hours, there have been a lot of hot takes. And if there's hot takes, then that means fanboy Nick has been busy on Twitter. Sweet googly moogly. I've been hearing that Deshaun Watson is close to playing. He's very close to play. They obviously had that meeting, and Deshaun is close. They're not saying anything, but otherwise they would have made the move. I mean, if that's what you want to believe, God bless you. I hope it's true. I mean, we're all waiting for him to get back, although that also is not a guarantee because he hasn't played well. 2020, you got to go back to 2020. Okay, you want to count the Tennessee game, but this guy's had, 10 opportunities, and he's basically had one good game. And let me remind you that if we get, and today's going to be a big day, so we gotta keep track of the Twitter machine, X, boom, not the X that you normally partake in, Twitter X. You seem a little step or two behind today. You all right, Bohm? Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good.
So we got to keep our eyes on that. Brown's back on the practice field, and will he practice Deshaun? Will he talk to the media? Deshaun, I don't know. But I've been hearing a lot of rumblings. I don't know how much of this is legit, though. And I don't know how anybody can feel good about saying, oh, Deshaun's going to play then. I mean, obviously, if they didn't go get a quarterback, Chico, then that means Deshaun Watson's ready to go. Okay, well, they thought he was ready to go against Baltimore. He wasn't. They certainly thought he was ready to go against Indianapolis, and he wasn't even close to it. So, I mean, there's still a lot of obstacles to get over before we start acting like Deshaun Watson is back. And I don't know. Now the latest one I'm hearing is, it's going to be if Deshaun can't go, it's going to be DTR. Now, that's plausible, but again, has anyone heard anything about? I mean, they keep it under lock and key in Berea. What's the guy been like in practice? I mean, I said in his defense, I think we've all said it, he was put into a horrible situation. Rookie or not, fifth-round rookie or not, the guy finds out roughly 90 minutes before, here you go, Ravens, go get him, kid. It's going to be tough. How much has he grown? How much has he improved since then? Your guess is as good as mine. And I remind you, when I'm relaying what I'm hearing, or better yet, reading, these are coming from boots on the ground that are in Berea. Nobody knows anything. And I'm telling you, if somebody says they do know something, they're lying to you. At this point, even if it's Deshaun Watson, you go back to the Indianapolis game, and at the end of that game, what did Kevin Stefanski say? It took everybody by surprise. It took me by surprise. I was listening in my car, and I'm like, what? Did he just say that Deshaun's going to play against Seattle? What? And then, no, he's out. We're resting him. So, like I said, you can sit here and try to connect dots. God bless you. I wouldn't do that to yourself. I wouldn't put you through that hell. Because I think the reality of the situation is, just my guess, but I think coming with some pretty good evidence since the season started, my guess is they don't have any idea for sure. They're not for certain about anything. whether that's Deshaun Watson coming back this week. He's not going to play this week, I don't think. Can you sneak another one out with P.J. Walker? Do you go to DTR? I don't know. I mean, I heard people say, well, are you nuts? Why would you give up a third rounder for Jacoby Brissett? I understand that mindset, but then again, also understand that this is a team that is going for broke. Like, this is it. They want to win now. They've got to win now. So, you don't want to get too crazy about it. We don't know what those conversations were. My understanding, according to reports, and one of them was out of Washington, I think it was that the Browns would not go any higher than a 6th-round pick. And the Commanders said, okay, thanks, but no thanks. After, by the way, unloading Montez Sweat and Chase Young. By the way, the San Francisco 49ers, that's a pretty good deal for Chase Young that the Niners got. Like, essentially, what they give up, they're going to pay him $600,000 the rest of the year. If he doesn't pan out and he walks, the Niners get a 3rd-round compensatory pick. If he does play well, they try to re-sign him. That's a pretty good deal. I don't know. Bohm, are you upset? Are you surprised? I think as the afternoon rolled along, and after talking to Nick on the ball breakdown yesterday, I wasn't really that shocked that they didn't make a move.
Yeah, well, no, first off, I'm excited for Chase Young to team up with Bosa and actually be on a good team, and I hope it works out for him. But
got to stop taking. From what I understand, he has developed some bad habits. But then again,
I saw that report from Hugh Jackson's friend, Michael, whatever his name is,
Mike
from
Silver.
Mike Silver.
Hugh Jackson's here, baby.
That's right. Yeah. So his best buddy in the media reported that Chase Young has been indisciplined and like going rogue on certain play calling.
And in fairness to even Mike Silver, he's not the first person to say that.
Mm-hmm.
That's been coming out of Washington for a while.
Yeah, but you're hoping, being in a better situation maybe puts him in more of a position to for things to go according to plan in this regard. But as far as the Browns, I guess I'm a little disappointed, Chico. I was hoping, because it's just hard to feel good about this Browns team right now when you are trotting P.J. Walker out there at starting quarterback with no idea when Deshaun's coming back. Oh, by the way, we don't even know if he is going to be the Deshaun that we're hoping for. Like, we haven't really seen that consistently enough to this point, and he's missed more throws than he's made. So it's just, I want to believe in this team because they seem so loaded in so many regards. The defense is great.
Yeah.
Stefanski's getting receivers, scheming them open all the time. There are receivers open all the time. It's perfect. It's a quarterback dream. We just don't have a quarterback who I have faith can get them the ball consistently enough right now, and that's scary.
And it feels like okay, with DPJ, who, again, I think he got a bit of a raw deal. I would also say he's not as great as people made him out to be. And I think part of that is just my stupid theories. But I think when you have a cool nickname, people assume you're better than you are. He's talented. Don't get me wrong. And did he overachieve for where he was drafted? 6th round? Yes. The problem for DPJ, and really anybody not named Amari Cooper, is the quarterback play is so bad that if your first read's not open, and usually that's 2, Amari Cooper, if that first read's not open, it's like the second, third, none of that's going down. And that's kind of par for the course with quarterbacks who are not very good. And this just in, the quarterbacks the Browns have right now are not very good, or if they have the opportunity or the talent to be good, can't get on the field and stay healthy. What I keep going back to is the turnovers. Like, okay, you don't want to make a deal, or you thought it was too rich, whatever Washington was asking for, and no, Jacoby. And let me be clear, because then there were also people yesterday, because the Twitter wars started back up last night. I stayed away until this morning, and then I went down another rabbit hole. So I just got to stay off of it. What am I doing, Boom? What the hell's wrong with me? Old man.
I get it though.
Yeah, I knew it was. I checked it a little bit last night. I was watching. Truth be told, I was watching some of the Cavs. That wasn't great. Baseball kind of became lopsided in a hurry. I was watching football. By the way, Josh McDaniels canned in the middle of the night. Does he get up to like use the restroom and check my phone? What's the weather going to be like tomorrow for practice? Oh, I don't have to worry about practice. I just got fired. So it was a busy kind of night, but I just. Everybody was, upset. And I heard a lot of people say, well, Jacoby Brissett's not very good. Why is everybody looking to Jacoby Brissett? Because at least Jacoby Brissett doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, I don't, if PJ Walker cuts the turnovers, I'm good. If DTR comes back and he's made significant progress, and the progress isn't necessarily, again, he's going to be throwing for 300 yards and a couple scores. If he's just made progress in taking care of the ball, that's a huge deal. That is a huge deal. But, there was an old coach that I did back in the day with hair, did play-by-play, and he was my trusty color analyst, Boom. He was an seasoned, old-school coach. And he would say this occasionally if a team started to put the ball on the turf, or if a team was getting penalized a lot and they were undisciplined, he'd be like, it was almost like he was back on the field. He couldn't translate it to the booth and like relax. He'd be like, Michael, you are what you are. And if you're going to put the ball on the turf, a team that puts the ball on the turf, you're going to put the ball on the turf. It's just the way it is. And so that's been ringing in my head lately. Like, PJ Walker is who he is. DTR, at least for right now, is who he is. Although I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think it was Jeff Lloyd on Twitter, who honestly I've never met, but I read his work every now and then. Seems like a good guy. And I asked a legitimate question. I wasn't being a smartass for once, because he said, DTR is getting a really short end of the stick on this one. He should be. Why isn't he in the mix? And I responded. I didn't hear back from him, so maybe he thought I was being a smartass. I responded to him, and I just said, has he improved since the Baltimore game? Have we been able, and I asked Jeff specifically, like, because I know those guys are at Berea, but they're also limited as to what they can see. I'd love to say he's getting shortchanged, but he could still be bad. He could still be turning the ball over. That's what's frustrating, is that, okay, you didn't make a move, but it's not one of those where, you know what, our guys are just going to get better. Internally, I'm putting trust in my guys. You can't do that. You can't trust people. Now, if you want to say, I trust that Deshaun Watson, we know something that everybody else doesn't know, and maybe that's the case, cross your fingers, knock on wood, all that good stuff, that, he's going to be back, he's going to be healthy, he's going to be fine, and everything's going to work out, great. But if you're trying to convince yourselves and us that, like, PJ Walker's going to turn it around. No, he's not. This is who he is. DTR, he is who he is. And you're rolling dice. You're rolling the dice, without a doubt.
Chico, I wonder how long the Browns' leash of PJ might be. Like, if you have Deshaun out for another 2, maybe 3 weeks, and you continue to see the same old from PJ Walker, at what point, what threshold is it where Stefanski says, all right, we gotta change it up here. Let's throw DTR out there again with a week of practice as the starter. Yeah,
he might put it this way. Yeah, if PJ Walker is turning the ball over, continues to turn the ball over at this rate, don't you just say, PJ, DTR, we're going to give you, full practice. You're going to get the snaps, because I know PJ was talking about that, and in his defense, I do think that's kind of a bad deal going on right now. Is you got different guys getting snaps or portions of snaps, and you're trying to, make sure everybody's ready to go, and then it's that whole, well, when you have this many guys getting ready, that you really have nobody getting ready. I don't know what the answer to that is. Let me ask you this. Do you believe that this, because like I said, this was a very popular, dare I say it, hot take, flaming hot take last night on Twitter, that the Browns know that Deshaun Watson is back, he's healthy, and he's ready to go, might not play Sunday, but he's trending in the right direction, that they had to have, certainly with the trade deadline looming, they had to have that, if you want to refer to it as a come to Jesus meeting. They had it. They felt much better about it, which is why they didn't make a deal. But at the same time, they wanted to make a deal. They just didn't want to give up what Washington was asking for Jacoby Brissett. But first things first, do you think they had that come to Jesus meeting?
It really doesn't feel like they did, Chico.
Yeah. My answer to that, because I heard that a few times this morning on different outlets, and my feeling is, haven't they been having that meeting every day? I would hope so, because that's the whole idea of like this week-to-week thing. Like, no, well, we're not putting him on IR because he's not, well, okay, if he's not on IR, then this should be something like every day he wakes up, how's it feel? You know what? A little bit better. You know what? Slept on it. So this shouldn't have to come down to, all right, Stefanski, Andrew Berry, Jimmy and D, Deshaun Watson in a room. How's it feel? Get the doctor on the phone. Where can we, what are we really looking at here? I would hope and I would think that they've been doing their due diligence like that pretty much every day since he's been out. So the idea that it just all of a sudden last night or the last 48 hours, they got together and had that all-important meeting, to me, it just sounds like good fodder. Like, oh, look out, read between the lines, Deshaun's back. You want to read between the lines with this team at your own risk. At your own risk. Caution, because it's not an easy thing to do.
I just think there's so much unknown with this whole thing, like even for Deshaun and the coaching staff, because it's all just dependent on his body and when he actually heals. And I'm sure that he felt like he was on a track of like feeling himself improving. And maybe he was overconfident about that, but it felt like there was something lost in translation that gave the Browns more optimism than warranted.
Lost in translation. Now, that's an interesting way of putting it, because that lost in translation, or if you want to term it, I'll throw the term disconnect out there, basically has been going on since the Baltimore game, the Baltimore week, because it was like, what part of I'm going to play. And it's important to note, too, the Ravens game, it wasn't just the media that Deshaun and others were saying, oh, yeah, Lamar's fine, or Lamar. Can we get it? That Deshaun's gonna play. It wasn't just the media. He was telling teammates. I mean, teammates were genuinely surprised. Remember, Joe Thomas said on NFL Network, that was the day before he went into the Browns Ring of Honor, and he said, I was at the walkthrough, and I can tell you that either it was the best kept secret, but my understanding is there was nobody that was thinking that he wasn't going to play on Sunday. And that was Saturday during the walkthrough. So, like, the disconnect has been going on. And then, like I said, Kevin Stefanski after the Seattle game, or after the Indianapolis game, oh, he's our starting quarterback on Sunday. Then Deshaun Watson takes the podium. Well, I don't know about that. So it's like, we've got nothing to hold on to here. That's why I say, if some of you guys have something or know something that nobody else knows, give it up. I'll be able to parse which is fact and which is fiction. I'm not, that gullible. The reality of the situation, the point I'm trying to make is, don't go down that road. Because the Browns don't know, Deshaun doesn't know, Kevin Stefanski doesn't know, nobody knows. And, I know it's frustrating as hell. I don't want to be talking about that and talking about this. And I hope I don't know how long this is going to go on. That's the other thing. Keep in mind, after this week against Arizona, who are they up against? You got Pittsburgh, you got Baltimore. Am I right? Is it directly after Arizona, I think, is Pittsburgh and Baltimore? I know Baltimore's in 2 weeks. I think Pittsburgh's next week.
I believe that's correct.
Okay, so, you lose to Baltimore again, and you can kiss the division goodbye. Like, there was a time, I think, where you said, we're only 2 or 3 games in. Let's just calm down. Let's see what happens. They've got a bye week, an early bye week, which we hated in the beginning of the year. Now, not so much because it'll give Deshaun time to get healthy. He'll be back. And, well, that didn't play out. And now here we are, 8-9 weeks into the season. I mean, you're kind of at the halfway point, and there's really no resolution. And, meanwhile, you're looking around and you're seeing a championship caliber defense that, yes, has a few things they need to clean up. But by and large, without question, I think is a championship caliber defense. But you have an offense that it's bad. And, you don't believe me. You got to see the numbers. You got to see the stats. Go to the stats. I mean, they're dead last in quarterback play. Dead freaking last. I don't know, I don't know what else to tell you. Now, today, if we hear something on Deshaun Watson, he's out practicing, I'm not anticipating. Like, do you feel good about that? Do you even think that Deshaun Watson, I've heard some people say he's been all but ruled out for Sunday's game. Have you heard that too?
I was just assuming he's out.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no expectation for him to play whatsoever.
Yeah. Same here. So, I'm not going to get upset with Andrew Berry and say, oh, my gosh, you should have done this. You should have done that. Would I feel more comfortable with Jacoby Brissett? Yes. Do I feel you can talk him up all you want? Do I feel comfortable, confident that P.J. Walker, even Arizona, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I just did with Pittsburgh and Baltimore trying to make a point. But, I mean, Arizona, if you start turning the ball over again, it's an entirely different ball game. That's why turnovers are the great equalizer. You can be the better team. You can be the much better team. But if you turn the ball over, you have one of those days, which the Browns seem to have a lot of those recently with this offense, the way it's constructed, be it, injuries or whatever else. It's tough. It's tough. So, we'll keep our eye on the practice field, see what happens if Deshaun is able to practice, not able to practice. And then now, more importantly, I think that the bigger question, if Deshaun Watson's not going to play, we don't think he is it going to be DTR? It seems like that is beginning to gain some steam, but like everything else, does anyone know, has anyone heard any morsel out of Berea that, you know what, he's really making some strides. They feel confident. They feel comfortable with him. Because, again, make no mistake, he was dealt a very, very bad hand with that Baltimore game and the way it went down. But this is the NFL. It does usually take a full year. He did have his confidence wrecked pretty good in that game, and that's why you made the move. And not just made the move, you made the move to P.J. freaking Walker. And there's not a lot out there. Like, I don't want to pretend like, oh, my gosh, you got to go get a quarterback. And yeah, I've heard all the Carson Wentz and all these other names that people like throwing out there that God knows what they're doing. If you can even get a hold of them. Like, how do I get a hold of Carson? Anybody got Carson's number? No, he's off in the wilderness.
Be a real full circle moment
up
for Browns fans if they brought back Carson Wentz.
It's in North Dakota in a tree stand somewhere. Nobody can get a hold of him. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll play a little fair or foul. Other things we got to get to today. Cavaliers, okay. Again, it wasn't good. Again, they got their butts kicked by the Knicks. Again, they were missing some key guys. But I'll tell you, one of the new faces had some interesting comments after the game. And my opinion, well, I loved him. I absolutely loved him. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. And yes, believe it or not, well, actually, to this point, it's not believe it or not. Believe it. the Michigan scandal gets even crazier. Do we need a DNA test to prove that it's Connor Stallions there? Jim McElwain, sign-stealing guy. I love that in the press conference. Yeah, I don't know that sign-stealing guy. He has a name, and you know his name very well, McElwain. All right, Fair Foul is coming your way next. Chico Borman Show, more to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back. Chico Borman Show on this Wednesday. Good to have you along. We're going to be talking a little World Series baseball. Geez, Bowman, it just occurred to me, who's going to suffer more, me or Booney, when our little get-together? And I don't mean like him in terms of me, but him, I feel like him checking in on you, it's kind of like a dad checking in on his son off at college each week. Wait, hang on a second, Chico. Boom, how's it going? Boom, you all right? We got any comments over there? You were looking, you're peering into those comments. What do you?
Yeah, we had a few comments, but most notably our most recent one. Shout out, by the way, to B Skrills for basically you were talking about the schedule, right? So he typed out the schedule, but no, we just got a comment from Square Table Degenerates. Oh, nice. Didn't know Chico had his own YouTube show. I never knew what he looked like either. LOL. Surprise! Welcome to the show, Square Table Degenerates. Glad to have you chiming in.
It's a lot of... Now, how do you just stumble on it, though, dude? Like, what do you just kind of...
It's a good question. I don't know. I am curious of that as well. Maybe Square Table Degenerates could let us know.
What I thought was funny, because I've heard that a lot, over the years, and even since now it became video, and I apologize for that, for you people that are easily offended. But I've had, like, a lot of people go, I didn't know you were bald. Like, boom, for God's sake, we got a show that's called The Bold Bald Breakdown. It's not like I've hidden from it,
You're leaning into it.
I'm follically challenged. See? That's how you're politically correct on certain terms. Follically challenged. Yeah, you can call me bald, because I'm bald, too.
I like follically challenged better, though.
Anyway, thank you for checking in over there, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, Chico, well, I want to start off, and you touched on it before, Josh McDaniels getting the axe, along with the offensive coordinator and the GM, all overnight. Just chaos in Vegas. What else is new under owner Mark Davis? With all that said, though, I want to ask you specifically about McDaniels. Obviously, this was his second opportunity as a head coach. Both not so great. Fair or foul, Chico? Josh McDaniels will be a head coach in the NFL again.
Foul. Fair question, but foul is the answer. This isn't one of those situations. You know how sometimes, like, a quarterback is just, he's had some really bad moments. He's never really found his stride, just isn't very good. And you say, well, is he ever going to be a starter again? Well, everybody always needs a quarterback. Now, everybody always needs a head coach, but there's only so many. There's only 32 spots, right? No. I mean, how could you trust him? And it's not, I don't want to say, it's not the end of the world. Some guys are not meant to be head coaches. We've had this discussion before. There's a lot that goes into it, but I think in Josh's case, the stain is a little bit uglier because of just how it's gone down again. But you also had the Indianapolis fiasco where you pretty much left him, right at the altar.
Lots of internal discord wherever he's ventured.
You like the internal discord.
It's ingrained in my head. I guess you could call it trauma. Life of a Browns fan.
That's one thing to call it, yeah. Now, foul. He's not getting another head coaching job.
Now, do you expect him to be an offensive coordinator again? I would guess he'll probably go back on New England staff at the very least.
I could see that, although I think it's interesting because we don't really know exactly where New England's heading either. But, I think he could be a good offensive coordinator, a great offensive coordinator again. Now, many will argue, well, wait a minute. Now we're back to the Brady Belichick. Now it'd be Brady McDaniels debate. Who made who? Well, Brady, who made who? That's an AC/DC song, Bo. Figured you'd like that.
Yeah.
Who made who?
From the Maximum Overdrive soundtrack, the Stephen King movie adaptation. He asked them because he was a big AC/DC fan. He's like, hey, you guys want to make the music for this movie? I love that album.
Is that the Back in Black?
No, Back in Black was 1980. Now, Who Made Who, that album did have some songs that were previously released. Maybe a song from Back in Black. But, yeah, this was specifically made for the movie Maximum Overdrive.
You know what song I think is very underrated when it comes to AC/DC, Bohm?
Not You Shook Me All Night Long.
No.
Okay,
that's one of those that you hear some Money Talks, you hear a lot of, all the Are You Ready?
Yeah.
Are You Ready is I'm surprised. When we were talking about stadium songs?
Oh yeah.
With Creed and Higher getting so much run of late with the Rangers and the Minnesota Vikings. Are You Ready's a badass song.
It absolutely is, Chico. That's
Are You Ready?
My second favorite AC/DC track off that Razor's Edge album.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah,
that's solid.
That was a strong album, by the way. Thunderstruck and Are You Ready? Talk about a 1-2 punch.
Right. But as far as back to the question about McDaniels, I definitely not a head coach. Offensive coordinator, yes, although that debate is going to start rearing its head, much like it did with Belichick and Brady, that, how much of that was Brady, how much was McDaniels. But, yeah, as far as the head coaching thing, I think that ship has sailed. You had your opportunity, you blew it, and you didn't just blow it. You kind of blew it in fine fashion. In the words of Cosmo Kramer to George Costanza, when he thought he was dating a woman with hair, and then he found out she was bald. And you remember Kramer goes, "You blew it, boy. You really blew it." Josh McDaniels, he blew it. He blew it.
Yeah, he did. Real quick, just chiming in on the comments. Square Table Degenerates. He says he's a bald brother too, but he likes his hats. So
yeah, I don't. Since I lost the hair, the hats don't look as like they used to. It's just one of those. This is my life. This is my life. It's my life.
Bon Jovi.
There's no hair up there.
Yeah, also says Big Balls is a great AC/DC song, and his daughter stole his AC/DC shirt. For what it's worth. By the way, shout out to Brian Johnson, fellow Libra, Chico, born October 5th. But I digress. He's the lead singer of AC/DC, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Born one day before me. Anyway, so the Chicago Bears made a trade for Montez Sweat. And look, to be fair, they did have a need for defensive end. You could argue maybe it was like their biggest need. They have a lot of issues right now, it feels like, need to be resolved in Chicago.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But trading away that second-round pick for Montez Sweat, not having a contract extension even worked out when he's on a contract year. Fair or foul, Chico, if you're a Bears fan, you have to be questioning what the Bears are doing right now, giving off this appearance of being buyers.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and not just this, but as it relates to this too, yes. I mean, here's the other thing. Like, a lot of the teams that do this, well, like San Francisco, for instance, like we were talking about Chase Young, and now I know it wasn't exactly the same as far as it'll basically just be a wash, and he could get a compensatory third-round pick. But I think in regards to Montez Sweat, usually those guys end up with teams that are winning, and then, okay, hey, we can't give you what maybe you're looking for money-wise, but you saw the run we just went on. Obviously, that's not happening with the Bears this year. So, yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But, I mean, my God, like, they have been searching and searching and searching for a quarterback. I mean, Lubeck, is that their last? I mean, not McMahon. That's just Justin Fields isn't going to be there. I mean, they're going to move on from him. Yeah, that's a mess. That's a mess. I don't know what they're doing.
That franchise might actually be cursed. Like they've, yeah. I don't really understand what they're doing, and if I'm a Bears fan, I would be outraged right now. Like the doomsday scenario is Sweat walks after the season because you don't have an extension worked out, not even the bare bones discussed. That's just incompetent operation of a franchise.
Yeah.
Charge them. But I digress. Okay, so to another transaction that took place, this one in the NBA, Chico, James Harden being dealt to the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, that means a reunion between Russ and James Harden. Harden is on the last year of his deal. Russ still has 2 years left on his contract with the Clippers.
What could possibly go wrong? I can't imagine what could go wrong there.
My question to you is, Chico, fair or foul? Harden and Russ's reunion lasts longer than one season.
Oh, you got to go foul. Because I mean, it's and if for no other reason, it's Harden. I mean, you cannot buy in to James Harden wanting to stay in one place. And I keep going back to this. He finally had somebody who really, really liked him and treated him very well. And I'm not just talking about big paydays. I'm talking about, Daryl Morey really invested a lot in him, not just financially.
You went to bat for him.
And he burned him. I mean, he just burned that bridge right to the ground. This guy, I know we say like a lot of divas in sports only care about themselves. Nobody does quite like James Harden. Boom, why are you, why are you going down the rabbit hole on the message board? What's wrong with you?
I wanted to thank Square Table Degenerates for following and subscribing.
You already did 3 times.
Well, he didn't follow yet. He didn't say that part yet. But I was just thinking, like, I need a quicker name than that. But STD doesn't necessarily. That has the wrong connotation.
That's why you were laughing. See what I deal with every day. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I digress.
You always digress, Boom.
Now, Chico.
Never progress. You're always digressing.
I know. See, that's the problem.
Yeah. Big problem.
I want to ask you, though, because so as far as Ohio State football, Mayan Williams ruled out for the season, which you hate to see. Obviously decided he could have gone pro last year, decided to come back. So, yeah, just a devastating season-ending injury for Mayan Williams. Now, with that said, ahead of him, you've got Travion Henderson, who, when healthy, is arguably the best running back in college football. And he seemed to show it last week. You've also got Chip Trainum, the transfer. But I want to ask you about Dallin Hayden, Chico, because he had one game where all 3 running backs ahead of him were out, and he shouldered the load, and he didn't just shoulder it. He looked great. Like, he looked like a spectacular back, like he was deserving of carries. Now, the plan, it seems, is that Ohio State wants to redshirt him. But I want to ask you, Chico, because it's hard to imagine now that you lose Mayan for the year. Fair or foul, if you're Ohio State, you can't redshirt Dallin Hayden here for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, I'm going to go fair on that with Mayan's injury, because you're just not as and Travion. We're going to get to this with Bill Landis coming up on Friday before the Rutgers game, but as great as Travion Henderson looked, you just can't count on him being healthy. By the way, did you see the cheap shot that they ended up showing the broken ribs, or it was a rib injury with Travion too, from the Notre Dame game?
Oh, where he commented that there was a cheap shot. Yeah. I did see that.
And that was,
yeah.
Yeah, I think right now you got to have all hands on deck. And I will say this: the only thing that drives me nuts is and Bill has talked about this. There's really no rhyme or reason to how that backfield operates. Now, when Travion's healthy, as should be the case, he's the number one. But it's been very odd. I do like how they handled that last week, though. We're not just going to be in a zone blocking scheme because that's what we do. That was where Maurice Clarett finally was hurt. Remember, Maurice Clarett was saying, like, hey, you got to change up your blocking schemes to suit whoever's back there and who's your primary ball carrier. And they decided to do that. Boom, you're distracted as hell. You can't. This is why, at first, I didn't like this idea about the windows being boarded up a little bit. You can't handle it. You're constantly, like, looking around. You're looking for distractions. You're looking at the message board. You're looking at your phone. Like, did she text me?
I'm plotting my next fair or foul, Chico.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay ahead of the game here. I'm playing chess. But I digress.
You're playing checkers.
Okay. So for this final question on today's edition of Fair or Foul, before we get to Booney here at the top of the hour, I want to ask you, since yesterday was Halloween, so this is not exactly sports related, but this is courtesy of Joshua Perry, former Buckeye, does a show with Jake Butt, former Wolverine tight end.
Yep.
And they listed their top 3 Halloween candies, right? So Jake Butt's iffy. He said Almond Joys, Reese's, and chocolate-covered raisins.
I love Almond Joy. Almond Joys do not get enough credit.
Okay. I'm a fan of chocolate-covered raisins myself. But Joshua Perry's list. Get this, Chico. Werther's Originals, Tootsie Rolls, Double Bubble Gum. Fair foul. Josh's top 3 of Halloween candies. Because to me, that's like, are you 80, dude?
Well, Werther's, here's the thing. I mean, they marketed that to older people, but first of all, have you seen how many flavors Werther's has out? Like, you can get caramel flavored, you can get maple cream. I mean, all different sorts of creams inside the candy itself. So you don't have to be 80 years old, although it's always that grandpa who's portrayed in the commercials. Werther's, I'll give him. Werther's is damn good. That is a damn good candy. Double, like, what? Hubba Bubba? Is that what he said?
Double Bubble, not Hubba Bubba.
Oh, so it's the Tito's gum.
yeah,
It's the gum
yeah,
that
yeah.
Tito.
And Tootsie Rolls. I've never really loved Tootsie Rolls.
They're not bad. I mean, those are more like one of those, like you're just, you need something to kind of pass the time to munch on, and they're good, but I don't know if I see, like,
Satiate the sweet tooth.
I'm not saying, like, if you go down the candy aisle, I don't know if I'm seeking out, oh, wait, I got to get some Tootsie Rolls. That's more like somebody just had them out in a dish. My buddy Paula Baelish. I got to make sure you tell Paula hi for me, by the way. I love Paula.
I'll have to do that. Yeah, I'm not grabbing a Tootsie Roll unless it's like the only candy available to me, and that's all I see. But with that said, I'm just gonna spew out my top 3 here. I'm gonna say M&M, Kit Kat, and Heath Bar. All right, that concludes this edition of Fair or Foul.
Okay, what? I don't get to.
Yeah, I'd love to hear yours.
Jeez, Bohm.
Yeah, let me hear it, Chico.
I mean, I don't know. I thought I was. All right, I got mine out. Hope it was good for you as it was for
share.
me.
Please share. I'd love to hear.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't know if Booney was waiting, if that's why you jetted out so fast. But so
Not yet, but I'm assuming he'll be here soon.
I'll tell you one that is very underrated, and I can make a case for it. Maybe not top 3, but top 5 is Heath Bar. Heath Bar's matter of fact, Heath Bar. I haven't had a Blizzard in like for a decade probably. I did go on a kick where that would be like that was my candy of choice in the Blizzard. I think in Blizzards they're phenomenal.
The only problem is that it gets stuck in your teeth afterwards, and that's the one like
a lot of
up,
that does. Yeah,
and yeah.
So I'm gonna go 100 grand. Not talked about enough. You've got crispy, the Rice Krispies things. You've got the caramel in there. You got nougat. We all need nougat. So that's good. I'm going to go Twix. And, oh, boy, this is like Reese's is in play here.
Fair.
Almond Joy's in play here.
What's your take on Three Musketeers?
Hate it.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I love a
hate
Three
it.
Musketeers.
Yeah, I forget who I got into this was a heated debate years ago. Somebody that we both know loves Three Musketeers, and I'm like, there's nothing to it. All it is just light, fluffy nougat. It's like it's puffed with air.
I was gonna call it light and fluffy, but like in a good way. I like how light and fluffy.
You can be, yeah. You yourself, you can be a little light and fluffy.
You are what you eat, I guess. I have eaten a lot. I have consumed many Three Musketeers.
All right. I'll tell you what. We're going to shift gears. We still have Cavs basketball to get to in the 1 o'clock hour. Some interesting and I mean really good comments, I think, from Max Strus, even though they lost the game. So we'll hear from Max. We'll talk about his comments, talk some Cavs. I want to get into the Buckeyes a little bit, and yes, another development in the scandal involving Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. So we'll get into that. But when we come back, we're talking baseball. Texas Rangers busting out the whooping sticks as they take a commanding 3-1 lead against the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll talk to our former All-Star second baseman, Brett Boone, when we return right here on the Chico Borman Show. More to come on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back, Chico Borman Show, as we roll into hour number 2 on this Wednesday. And Bohm, I just said I just did the opposite of what you just asked of me, but you don't even have to respond to this. I was telling Bohm and all of you last hour that, the Texas Rangers have a 3-1 lead, commanding lead, one more, and they are World Series champions. And I said, well, damn, that would mean the end of our Wednesdays with Booney segment. Bohm began tearing up. Bohm, you've recovered now. I think Booney probably would be a little more emotional than you would be, Bohm, because I feel like Booney's kind of taken on the role during this whole experience of you're like his son off at college, and he's got to make sure you're doing all right. Booney, how you doing, bud? You good over there?
I'm good.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How are you guys?
We're great. Go ahead. You and Bohm want to, do your thing.
Super duper. Hi, Bohm. How you doing, kid?
Hey, Booney. Great to hear from you again.
Hey, Booney.
Yeah, awesome.
Booney.
It is 3-2, kids. All right. I'm here now.
What did I say?
No, it is. It is 3-1.
Yeah.
3-1.
Okay.
Oh, I wish we had. The only thing I wish we had a little more drama to talk about today. 2-2 would have been much better, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We got a series, and then all of a sudden it feels like, maybe this run that these Diamondbacks have gone on is gonna come to an end. Writing's on the wall says that it's over, but I don't know how many times can you have your back against the wall in one postseason. I was saying this morning. If the Arizona Diamondbacks were to shock the world, come back from this 3-1 deficit and win, it would probably be one of the most impressive things I've seen in sports, what they've done this. I mean, a long way from them coming back from this 3-1 deficit and winning. But just in hindsight, if they did, I'd rank that with one of the most impressive things I've seen. I don't know about sports, but definitely in the baseball arena. It's been entertaining, but it just seems like these last few games, Texas is kind of on offensively.
Oh.
And when they're on, man, they're tough.
And to think they did that yesterday without. And by the way, didn't you call? Wasn't that your prediction, Corey Seager, World Series MVP, or was that somebody else? No, that was Casillas. I take that back. That was Casillas that called that.
Well, Seager for me, I said 3 years ago, I said this guy should be winning MVPs. But his problem is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Well, and his problem also is that Shohei Ohtani's in the same league as him. I mean, that's a tough combo.
Yeah.
But this guy is he's a beast. I mean, 6'4" shortstop. That gives you a little more status before the. If you're playing short for me, that gives you a leg up beginning because you're playing by far the hardest position on the field. So that gives you a leg up. Now everything you do offensively has a little more credence for me because of the position you play. So he's been Garcia's arguably having the best postseason. Now he's out for the rest of the postseason, but the best postseason maybe ever.
He's been amazing.
But the thing is, if I've got to pick to pitch to one guy, I'll pitch to Garcia all day before I'll pitch to Corey Seager.
Right. So, wow. That's surprising. I mean, I think
Garcia has been nothing short of unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's got 21, 22 runs driven in. And he's going to miss the last, if this were to go 7, he'd miss the last 5 games and still have the all-time record. Pretty unbelievable. And then several walk-offs. As a player, you see these walk-offs nowadays. Oh, walk-off home run, walk-off base hit. And you think they're just plentiful. They happen every day. I look back at my career. I had some great moments. And I had a walk-off here and there. But it's not like they were a regularity, And he's got like several in one postseason.
Well, and they've got all these records.
Most people have several in their entire career, the entire body of work. Pretty awesome to watch.
And how about doing all this stuff, all this damage with 2 outs? Like they're just I mean,
And
you
on
talk
the
about
road.
lot. Yeah. Oh yeah, 10-0
That's
on the
what
road.
I can't get over either.
10.
We had young Uncle Aaron on the program this morning. It's like the Road Warriors in this postseason. It goes against all logic. But it's not just been this series. It's been the series leading up to this series. The road teams have been kicking butt. Makes no sense, no rhyme, no reason. But that's why baseball's baseball. Is we're sitting here with the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks in the World Series, and I think if we would have collectively at the beginning of this postseason said, "Oh yeah, it's going to be the Diamondbacks and it's going to be the Texas Rangers," you kind of look at me like this guy's crazy. So I don't know. I think the parody, the critics, it's always like, "Oh, we're sick of the same teams being in the postseason." Then you get the Diamondbacks, Rangers. Oh, it's going to be terrible ratings. It's like, what do you want? You want parity? You want the same teams? You want it to always be Boston, Yankees, Dodgers for television? Or is this showing that whatever Major League Baseball is doing right now is definitely working? Because there's a lot more people and it's proving out right here that are candidates to get to the World Series. It's not just the powerful few. It's I don't know.
Well, I want to ask you. Let me throw this out there to you about the ratings because, we've had this conversation before. I'm not gonna go on a tirade about it, but there are people out there, they just love to hate on the game, and it's almost like a badge of honor to say you're not wearing. I don't know anybody from these teams. I don't watch baseball. Okay, great. I mean, if you don't want to watch it, that's fine. I will say this though, the ratings. I think they said games 1 and 2 were as low as they've been in a long, long, long time. Don't you think the starting times they could? I feel like sometimes baseball doesn't do themselves any favors either. But
what would you do though? Okay, for a World Series, obviously it's the last. That's the only game in town. What would Chico's starting time to accommodate the East Coast and the West Coast? What would be a better time? And I'm interested. I'm not.
No, I know what you're saying.
I'm just asking. What do you think would be a better time?
Well, okay. Before I get into like the time itself, let me just say this. Like you're trying. It's almost like you can't say in one breath we're trying to grow the game, and we're trying to get youngsters are going to bed, Booney. I mean, you know what I mean? And even adults. Like I talk to adults that are like, dude, it's 10 o'clock. I'm turning in. So I feel like on the East Coast, at least on the East Coast, it's got to be like 7. And I know what you're going to say. Well, that's a 4 p.m. start in the afternoon. But at least I think that's doable. Even an hour, I think, is a big deal. I just think you're turning off a lot of kids that, they just can't and won't stay up to watch that. And it feels like something baseball could easily change. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm curious your thoughts on it.
Well, I think this. I think the East Coast, for some reason, when I go to the East Coast, when I go to New York, when I go to Philly, it seems like for whatever reason, and I think it's just the way the clock is set up, they're on a different time scale. For you guys in Cleveland, it's different. In California, where, I've spent most of my time in the last 15 years, it seems like it's normal for me to kind of go to dinner about 5, watch a thing. I'm in bed by 9. It seems like when I go to New York, and maybe it's because I'm in the city, maybe because it's not the real world being in Manhattan and staying in a hotel.
Right.
But it seems like things don't get cranking up till like 8 or 9. It's like, yeah, we're going to dinner. It's 8:15. That, for me in California, it's like, wait a minute, that's jammy time for me. So I think onefold, the East Coast is a little more used to it because the clock is, and for big events, Super Bowls, stuff like that, you're used to, it's going to start at 7 or 8 on the East Coast. Whereas on the West Coast, we're used to everything because of the clock starting at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. So
and that's not a bad time for the West Coast. Like, I mean, you're out there on the West Coast. Do you think, I get the sense like, okay, hey, if it's only going to be a few games or a few series, If I got to cut out of work early, I realize some places maybe you can't do that, but I don't think 4 o'clock is asking too much from the West Coast either. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's good for both sides. I don't, it seems like Major League Baseball just refuses to even think about it. That's what I don't get, I guess. But
Well, I don't know. I just
Yeah.
like I said, what is a better time than 5? What is the perfect time for everybody globally? The sports world, the baseball fans of the world. What is the ideal time?
at the very least, 7:30, but I would even say 7:05. Because I
So
think
you're thinking your only problem is it's a little late for the East Coast. But if you go that train of thought, isn't it a little early for the West Coast?
Well,
for
that's my
people that
point,
are
though. Like,
getting
what?
home from work? There is no perfect time.
Yeah, no, you're
Debate.
right. But I think here, I'm going to go back to my original point. I want young kids, to be able to. I mean, look, it's the pinnacle of the sport. And if you're asking them to be a part of it for 162 games of the regular season, I don't want kids, and I know some of those are night games, but when you get to the pinnacle and the end of the movie, if you want to use that analogy, I just don't think they should, I'm sorry, little one, you got to go to bed. You got school in the morning. Like, don't do that. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it. Bah humbug.
There's no perfect scenario there,
No,
Chico.
there isn't. How is Uncle Arnie, by the way? I was hoping, after hearing that, I thought maybe you'd keep him on the line and we'd kind of do a.
No, he's moving and shaking today. We had to do it at 7 a.m. my time. A little early for me, but we got things done. It was a good one. I asked him some questions that as a brother, as his elder brother, I usually don't get into with him because, to be honest with you, I don't care.
Well, the season's over, so you probably feel.
But I think baseball fans like to know, and so I got into some details of his life post season. When you don't make the playoffs, Aaron Boone, what do you do? When's it start? We got into the makings of the. I don't know I'm trying to come up with something cute. The making of the bread, but what do you do?
Sausage making,
yeah, making the sausage, whatever. What's it like? What does Aaron Boone do when the season ends? What
Goes out
bugs you? Because I know my little brother, things bug him, and he has a tough time letting things go. If something happens throughout the course of the season, he's that type of guy. What could I have done better? What could I have done? When in reality, I look at his Yankee season as a whole, a lot of criticism for what I considered really people that don't have the gumption or the gravitas to even have that opinion because they don't know what they're talking about. So I think it's unfair. Yet that's what you get in New York. That's what you get being the Yankee skipper is the ultimate criticism, and that's part of the job.
Well, then do you let him come out and visit you and kick your ass on the golf course, or is that
no? That's impossible for him, and he knows it. No, but it's interesting because I know Aaron and I know his personality, and it's one of the things that's so endearing about him is that he cares so much. And I said, "All right, Aaron, we've never really talked about this, but what's eating at you?" From the season, because I know it is.
What did he say?
I know at night when you go to bed, there's something going on.
Did he divulge a couple things? Did he divulge?
He started laughing. He goes, "Yeah, well, the one thing, this kind of bugs me, and that kind of bug." But I thought it was interesting. I think fans really will think it's cool, kind of not the typical. Well, so what do you think about the Yankees in 2000?
Does he regret the publicity from the argumentative, the frustration coming out with it?
And I didn't even get to that with him. How many? My question going in was, well, how many times are you going to get thrown out in 2024? But I thought that was too easy.
Yeah.
It was too easy of a dig. But no, he just got in some interesting stuff, and then we talked about. I'm interested because I don't know. I'm a big fan of Aaron Judge, without actually knowing him, knowing the man. But I've really been impressed not only with the physical, obviously, and the numbers that he's put up are superstar. but I've always been fond of him because of how he handles himself, how he navigates the waters of being the New York Yankee. And when I was playing and Jeter was the captain, I used to make light of it. Like, there's no captains in baseball, Jeets. This is freaking not hockey. And he would give me a smile and laugh a little bit. But I always admired the way Derek Jeter carried himself and the way he took that leadership role and wasn't flamboyant about it, didn't exploit it, but I just think he handled things really well. I think Aaron Judge has taken a page out of Jeter's book, and not saying they're the same. I don't know. I don't know Aaron Judge
Hmm.
at all,
Yeah.
but it just he's got a way about him. He realizes that he has an obligation because of his position, and the reason he's got the position not only for the huge contract he signed, but the numbers he put up. I mean, he is a legitimate superstar, and being on the biggest stage in baseball, the way he's handled himself, the way he goes about his business, the way he deals with the press, he always says the right thing. He just comes off very genuine, and I think he's a great representative of that organization. So Aaron and myself, when we talk, oh, how's Aaron Judge? That's not something I would say because that's not how we talk. We talk
Right.
about the kids. We talk about hang in there. We talk about, man, you're kicking butt.
You tell him how much you
But
really enjoy coming on the Chico Borman show, and I'm sure he's
right,
like, "Yeah, you got to
but
get
we
me on
don't
that
we
show."
don't normally have conversations. Hey, what makes Aaron Judge tick?
Yeah.
Because I want to know. Because I don't want to know. But
He'd probably be like, What's wrong with you?"
right, but for the purpose of the podcast, sports fans do want to know, and I thought it was interesting, and then in because of that, I get to a little insight to it. So it was a fun conversation. We talked about my daughter's wedding coming up in about 10 days, so a lot of
Oh,
topics on the
you
table. It
gonna
was good.
Booney? Are you
Got his take on the World Series so far.
Oh,
So
hang on,
you
back
got to
up.
listen. I can't give you all the
Back
secrets.
up a
You gotta
little
listen.
bit. Just hang on.
Yeah.
Back up to so Savannah's getting Nick Allen. People should know your son-in-law will be your son-in-law officially. Plays for the Oakland A's. Are you going to be little emotional? The faucet's going to come on?
It's weird. It hasn't hit me yet. I'm just kind of going about it, and I get an occasional text, and they need another check, and so I get those type of interactions.
Another down payment on the hall.
But it's getting closer. So when I really have a moment and it hits me, like, oh, my little girl is, I'm giving her away. So I don't. I'll bet you I'm more emotional than I think I'm going to be.
Did Nick ask you for your permission to marry to?
Oh, without a doubt. Nick
attaboy,
is
attaboy.
he's a good kid, and he asked. Not only did he ask me, he asked my mother. He went to my mom and said,
The
he calls her
matriarch. You got to bring in the matriarch. That situation. Yeah.
he calls her Grammy like everybody does, and he said, Grammy, I know how close your relationship is with Savannah, because my Savannah and my mom are very close, always have been. And he said, I asked Brett, but I figured it was, it was apropos, if that's the word, to ask.
Brett told me to
because
hang on. He has this 6-iron he wants to hit, and then we can talk about it.
No, but I thought that was kind of over the top, something I wouldn't do.
Yeah,
But I thought it was a really cool touch, and it said something about Nick and how much he's really thought this through and how much that he really cares. The fact, you think it's tough enough just asking the father, but then I got to get the grandparents as well. So I thought that was that speaks to Nick's character, and no, I thought it was really cool. I'm looking forward to them. They're very happy. All we can ask, Chico, is for our kids. Nick Allen absolutely adores my daughter. He thinks she walks on water. Yeah. And as a father, that's all you can ask for. And I look at him sometimes, I said, don't let her get away with that. Make her do this, make her do that. But he loves the heck out of my daughter, and I'm very grateful for that. He's a good kid. He's got a good family. And yes, long story short, I will probably be more emotional than I think I'm going to be. But nice. I'm going to try to keep it together.
So how about some former teammates? Did you invite some former teammates? Like I would think. No, we don't have to. I guess I would.
Yeah, Chico, it's not my wedding. I don't have the invite
Well,
list.
but you come on, man. You're paying for it. I mean, you
I'll
might
pay
as-
for some of it. To be fair,
is Nevin's heaven will be there, right? Phil Nevin.
Nev
he'll
will be there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nevin's
Nev will
gonna
be there.
See,
Aaron will
that's
be there. As far as ex teammates, I don't think too many. I think Trevor will be there.
will Ichiro be DJing?
Maybe Gonzo will be there. Maybe Luis Gonzalez might be there. Nick is close with.
You just had Luis on the podcast.
Yeah,
well
he
done.
might be there. I don't know who else. I think you're probably going to see a lot of current players. You know, I would assume Nick's inviting some of the A's players, so they'll be there. But I think as far as ex players now, the ones I mentioned, those are probably it.
Bohm, you all right? You
tell you that
Bohm's kind of he's getting teared up. He really thought that maybe
I asked Savannah. I said, "How many friends do you have?" You know, this list is like. She's like, "Well, Dad, I only invited 650." I said, "Who invites 650?
650?
But I don't think 650 aren't coming. But she invited 650.
Wow.
I said, "Well, you got a chance to get."
Bohm's kind of all right. I'm just going to speak.
650 toasters.
Bohm's he's a little heartbroken. He thought maybe, over these months and months, he thought maybe, you guys have been tight enough that you'd give him an invitation along with the plane ticket or your private jet. He's a little broke. It's okay, Bohm. You can let it out.
I think Bohm will be all right.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, Booney. It's a really exciting moment.
Man. Just once, can you play along, Bohm? Can't you just say like, yeah, what the hell, Booney? You think you're all that? You think because you got gold gloves and all that, and because you're a third generation, like, give him some hell. You don't need to.
It's not how I roll, Chico. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Oh my goodness! All right, hey, before I get you out of here, Booney, and that is good stuff. Looking forward to hearing how good the celebration is over there for her wedding. Craig Counsell. Last time we spoke, Stephen Vogt had a lot of, well, pardon the pun, votes, seemingly, with people around baseball. He's young, he's a former catcher, knows the game, relates well to players. Craig Counsell's a guy that now is starting to generate, I shouldn't say generate more interest. I mean, he's done a great job with Milwaukee. Just give me I don't know how close you are. I haven't asked you this before, but your thoughts on Craig Counsell.
Don't know. That's another guy. Don't know Craig Counsell. I don't think we've ever shook hands. Played against him, obviously, throughout my career. Good buddies with Walt Weiss, who Walt is a good friend of mine and somebody I trust. And from the get-go, I mean, this is from our playing days to present. He said, Booney, you would love Craig Counsell. You'd love him as a teammate, genuine, big-time baseball mind, smart. And then now he's had very successful run as a manager. So from friends of mine that I take, I take their word and I give it a lot of, when Walt tells me something like that, I take it at face value. I said, well, Walt wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. So I've heard nothing but really good things about Craig Counsell. And I think what he's done in Milwaukee year in and year out, he's led them to a lot of playoff berths. Everything I know in the baseball world without knowing Craig Counsell personally, I think whoever lands him is going to get a good skipper.
Good stuff. All right. Hey, are you a Bosch legacy? The Bosch, the television show?
I'm a Bosch guy. I was.
Because Legacy's out. It finally came out season 2.
Bosch.
It's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
All right. Here's how I look at Netflix, Amazon, that whole world of programming.
Talk to me, Booney. Talk to me.
There's the really good, hard-hitting. What's the recent? With the family.
Ozark.
Ozark.
Okay, Ozark is one. What's my favorite of all time?
We were just talking about it.
Starts with an S.
Succession.
Succession.
Yeah, there you go.
Ozark. The one when the methamphetamine lab. What is that?
Breaking Bad.
A Netflix classic.
Breaking Bad.
That type of show, right? Those are for me A-list quality from production to acting to the script to the ambiance.
Ambiance. Look at
those are
Booney.
real. Those are real series. The original, and still one of my all-time favorite. What's the original HBO series? Entourage, a classic.
Yeah, you told me that. Now you got to watch
Still one of the-
Sopranos, dude. Sopranos was really good.
Yeah, you've been barking up that tree for a while.
Yeah,
Anyway, long story short, those are A quality first run, top shelf
okay.
liquor. Bosch to me just doesn't have the chops, man. We're talking B minus level production, start to finish for me.
Season 2's pretty good.
Mom and Dad are a huge fan of Bosch. I watched Bosch and I said, yeah, because I'm bored. This is B level, but it's fine. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
But when you're used to watching the Ozarks and the Successions of the world, Bosch just doesn't line up. The quality ain't there.
All right. You can find his podcast wherever you get your podcast. The Brett Boone Podcast, really blowing up of late. By the way, there was a Halloween costume that went viral. I'm sure you saw it. A kid dressed up as Angel Hernandez with a walking stick.
Walking stick. Yeah, I saw that. What do we got, Bohm? What do you got? Are they gonna is it just a formality now? Texas runs it out.
I feel like we're not going to see another 3-1 lead blown, but I also just costume-wise, I wanted to mention, I thought Chico was going to bring it up. The Randy Johnson costume and his date was the
tremendous.
bird.
Tremendous. And at first glance, it does look like Randy.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Which made it so good. Chico, nobody will answer my questions now. What are you thinking? Give me a call here. Does Arizona make a series of it? I'm not saying when. Do they make a series of it, or is it just elementary now?
It's over tonight.
It's over.
Yeah,
okay. Even with Kelly on the hill, you just think there's too much to overcome. Kelly was really good last time out.
It almost
had that Maddox two-seamer going.
It almost feels like, okay, well, this road streak, they've won 10 in a row, is gonna end. But I just think the way they're swinging the bats right now, and you're right,
they're
Kelly
tough.
is very, very good. But it just seems like, I mean, they're not just hitting the baseball, they're bashing the baseball, and everybody's getting involved.
And the thing is, Garcia's out, Scherzer's out.
That's what's
Scherzer would have
crazy.
been that Game 7 guy. But I'll tell you, Gray's come back. You know, he had an injury to end the season. He was on the roster. He was not on the roster. Now he's on the roster of the World Series. I think he's pitched well. So they're set up. Even if the unbelievable happened and they did find a way to claw this thing back and get it to a 7th game, I think John Gray's still a great option.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding.
And Bruce Bochy
everything sets up for these guys.
Bruce Bochy has you to thank because you brought him on the podcast there in the middle of the postseason.
He owes me, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he does.
He owes me. Yeah, Bruce. Yeah. It's pretty unbelievable. Yeah. This will be his 4th rings if he wins it, and I will be happy for him. Bruce, he's everything. Everything that's said about Bruce is pretty much true. Good, one of the great ones.
Booney, if you need Bohm and I, like last second, the DJ cancels, Bohm and I would be more than happy.
Oh, you'll DJ it?
Yeah,
we
tag team it. We DJ it. It would be a good time. We'd have Uncle Arnie up there. He'd have some spilled drinks on it. We'd make it. It would be a blast. We would even get Bob doing the electric slide.
All right.
So you just
I want to see that.
You let everybody know that we will bring the house down. If there was a cancellation, Bohm and I will clear the schedules and we will make ourselves available to help out the family.
You got it.
All right, Booney. Thank you.
All right,
buddy.
guys.
Always fun, man. Thank you.
See ya.
All right. Kind of sad, Bohm. That could be our last one with Booney for a while. You know?
Yeah, got to get him on in the off season. You know, just,
we will a couple. Yeah. But, it's just, I look forward to that every week, and it's just so weird how it happened. You know, it was a chance meeting with a mutual friend, and you know, I think our sarcasms matched up. I was a smart ass, he was a smart ass, and it's like it just worked. It just worked. He's a good dude. Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back, Cavaliers, okay, they fell again. They also had more injuries or the same injuries, so they still have guys out. So still trying to get a gauge on this. But I'll tell you, one guy, and he's one of the new faces that came from the Miami Heat, didn't want to hear anything about guys missing time and this and that. He was not happy with the performance. We'll tell you what Max Strus had to say, get your reaction as well. And then the very latest in the Jim Harbaugh Michigan scandal. We'll get to that. I don't want to even drop any kind of hints on it because it just gets crazier and crazier. Chico Borman Show. More to come right here on the Big Play Sports Network. All righty, welcome back. Chico Borman Show. Final half hour, 25 minutes or so as we roll through it on this Wednesday. Good to have you along. The NFL trade deadline come and go. Yesterday, Browns, it was just DPJ, sixth-round pick, quarterback. Word is that Washington wanted a something much higher than a sixth-round pick. Browns wouldn't budge, and therefore the quarterback room stays as is. We'll get to that more here in just a few moments. But the Cavaliers, I mentioned these two games. So what we did Monday's show, and I remember we were saying, you know, they lost over the weekend. They're 1-2, but they lost a lot of guys health-wise. Jared Allen and Darius Garland was out, and you know you can't really fault them too much. And you know it's a long season, and blah 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 blah. That's still true, and they still have injuries, and stuff that they're dealing with. And in addition, and I know I mentioned this in the beginning of the year, we're just expecting everybody to acclimate to the new pace and space philosophy, the shooter. They're still kind of getting used to each other. But I love this from Max Strus. And remember, Max Strus came over from the Heat. And, a guy that can certainly shoot the basketball, but remember, he's had 2 games where he's had 27 and 12, and after the first one, he's like, I hope people know that I'm not just, hopefully I can knock down some threes for you, but I play physical, I play defense, and you have to if you played in Miami. Like, that really is a culture. We throw around that word a lot, in Berea, Brown's trying to. The Miami Heat have a very, very good culture, a culture where. And let's face it, Spoelstra's that way, but the guy above him, Pat Riley, that's how Riley was back in his playing days, back in his coaching days, now president. And Max Strus, you can just tell, like, he didn't want to hear anything about injuries. He said, quote, "We got our ass beat tonight." He himself, they lost 109-91 last night to the Knicks, and they're going to do it again tonight at Madison Square Garden. But he wanted absolutely nothing to do with, with the injuries and all that stuff. Said, look, no excuses. You lose games, fine, but we were out hustled, we were out physical, and that's. I don't want to say it's worrisome because, again, you're missing some of your key guys again. But the fact that it's New York that did it to you, the same New York team. And by the way, this is a New York team. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like Charles Barkley said it yesterday that the Knicks, they're just a mediocre team. And, they didn't really get better in the offseason. And that's a team that bludgeoned the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I've said many times, Bohm, you know this, that the Cavaliers, they needed that playoff experience. However bad it was, and it was bad, and they got their butts kicked, they needed it because there's no substitute for it. Young guys, you have to go through that. And I think it's going to pay dividends down the road this year when they get into the postseason. I do believe they will. But I think for right now, you're trying to get guys healthy, and at the same time, you're also, I think if you're JB Bickerstaff, you don't. It's like everybody else is figuring out in the NBA. The regular season doesn't mean a damn thing. It does and it doesn't. Like, yeah, it's a means to an end, and that end being just make the postseason. But you're just not going to risk guys like Darius Garland. You're not going to risk Jared Allen. You're not going to risk their health just to go out and and try to get some wins here. But I think we expect. No Darius Garland, no Jared Allen. They didn't have Karis LeVert. It was bad. It was ugly. How concerned were you after last night? Boom.
Chico, I think I almost asked this on Fair or Foul. I'm not that concerned at this point. It feels premature to be concerned, especially when you're so shorthanded. That being said, you were just missing a lot of shots. A lot of shots. There were so many frustrating possessions over the course of that game where it was like they had 2-3 opportunities to get the ball in. Evan Mobley's right there in the paint. By the way, rough game for Evan Mobley. He was catching a lot of flack. That physicality of the New York Knicks seems to continue to plague this Cavaliers team. And as we both have alluded to, they weren't fully healthy. Maybe Jared Allen, the one who said the lights were too bright, maybe that makes a difference, and maybe he has grown from that experience. But right now, they've shown no evidence that they're going to be able to hang with them.
Because he's not on the floor.
Yeah, exactly. And they've shown no evidence right now that they're capable of hanging with that Knicks physicality.
Yeah, Strus went on to say, quote, "You can make all the excuses you want. At the end of the day, they played harder than us. They out-toughed us. They beat the shit out of us," is what he said. They came in and did the same thing that they did last year. Hopefully that lights a flare in our locker room. and hopefully we respond tomorrow, meaning today. We have to be better. And by the way, Friday that's like the first round of the in-season tournament, which I got to be honest with you, I don't really know. I mean, I know what it is. I don't know how big. Do the players, like, are teams going to make their players more available for this in-season tournament because it's a bigger deal, or to them is it just another regular season game? Because it begins Friday. It's like in increments basically, but the in-season tournament begins Friday.
I still don't totally understand like what's happening with that. Like, so it's so weird. I know that some soccer leagues will have like mid-season tournaments, but just the whole discrepancy between regular season, tournament, and like the differences and what counts towards what, I need to see it all play out, because there's still a lot that I need to like comprehend. I
guess what I'm wondering, and this is one of those things, probably should have done a little more research before we talked about it, and that's on me. But like I said, as far as like load management, game management, is this something where, okay, hey, no, I want to be a part of this? Like, no, it's not a playoff game, but it's a little bit more than the regular season game. I don't know. It feels kind of gimmicky. Are the ratings? I mean, I don't know. Like, we'll find out with like on Friday's games. Is the NBA going to see like a bigger spike? Like, does somebody get off work on Friday and go, oh man, I didn't know the in season. I got to watch this. To me, it just feels like another regular season game, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I don't know if it's really that big of a deal. But that does begin on Friday as well. So we shall see. But the Cavs trying to get healthy, trying to get better. I'm curious to see tonight, who is healthy, but also Max Strus. Good for him. I like that. They need guys like that. Like Tristan Thompson, okay, he's probably not going to contribute like Tristan Thompson used to contribute. But he is going to bring a toughness that a guy like Jared Allen, when he's healthy, is going to be able to benefit from. Max Strus saying what he said, I don't know if they have somebody in the maybe that's Tristan if Max doesn't say it, but in Miami that's unacceptable. Oh, well, you were missing, your top two guys. I don't give a damn. Like, we got out-toughed. We got out-physical. And against the Knicks, considering how that series went last year, it is a big deal, albeit early in the season. All right. So I got to get to and shift gears into college football. The latest now in this ridiculous soap opera is the best way I can describe it. The soap opera involving Connor or Colin? I think it's Colin. Stallion?
Connor.
There you go. Connor Stallion.
I think it's plural as well. Stallions.
Oh, I liked him as Stallion because it's like the Italian, yeah, whatever. The sign stealer, according to Jim McElwain. This guy now, you got video of him on Central Michigan sideline. Now, McElwain and Harbaugh are buddies. McElwain coached up there with him. He is denying, like, they're not just denying that they knew he was there or that, they gave him any sort of pass. They're like staring at the picture. Like, I've never seen that. Like, how long does it take you to identify somebody? How long you look on the sideline? Is that, Maddie, your secondary, one of your assistant secondary coaches? You know who that is. They all know who it is. I'm waiting for Petiti because I don't know what I'd love to know, and Big Ten hasn't said anything. does Petitti, like right now, if you were to ask Tony Petitti, does he want to wait for the NCAA to do something? Because that's like an NCAA move. That's one where the NCAA, remember, they'll do this with Congress. Like, well, we don't want to rule on it. We're going to wait for Congress. No, I mean, why don't you guys do it? But the Big Ten does not have to. They have the autonomy to go ahead and make a ruling on this. Now, my understanding is if it's deemed egregious enough, either way, the NCAA then can change it. But this has gotten to a point where, come on. I mean, it's now we're hearing how long that this guy's been with the program. Basically, they've got pics of him since like 2018, 2019. I mean, okay, you know who this guy is. I think we're all, you can save Desmond Howard. You can save your ridiculous BS about this guy being some rogue operative. You knew exactly who he is. They all knew who he is and still do. Something's got to go down. And I trust me, I'm not saying this just as an Ohio State fan. Like, at what point do you pull that plug? But here's the other thing, and this came out yesterday, that they are still moving onward with Jim Harbaugh's contract extension. How in God's name, amidst all of this, because at first we heard it was put on hold, how in God's name can you just... Now, I'm hearing that there's going to be a lot more guardrails, if you want to call it that, like, you know, certain things that he has to meet and do, and if he doesn't, there's penalties. But again, I don't think the guy gives a damn about penalties. All he does is throw it back in someone's face. NCAA, Big Ten, Michigan, he doesn't care. I'm just trying to picture a world where this thing is still developing and we reach November 25th. To act like it's not going to be hanging over this game. And, you know, like, I loved how Desmond said, like, well, Ohio State, all these other schools, you've got no excuses. Oh, gee, thanks. Thanks for not cheating. We appreciate it. That works the other way, too. And how will Michigan play? I don't think they're going to have a problem this weekend playing, but how will they play? How will they, you know, maybe they use it as a rallying cry. They could do that as well. The free Harbaugh T-shirts and all of that good stuff. But I get the sense that Tony Petitti, and I don't know this. I'd love to know it. I get the sense that Tony Petitti knows he has to act, but I think he's I don't know if he's waiting to get bailed out by the NCAA, but I don't want that to happen. I want Petitti and I want the Big Ten Conference to make that first move. I don't know what else they could possibly be investigating. It either is him or it's not him. The loophole about, well, Harbaugh knew about it, didn't know. You know, even still, like I said before, there's actually a rule that says you have to know. This rule is you have to know our rules. You can't say, I didn't know that was a rule. That doesn't work. So this plausible deniability crap that he's throwing out there isn't going to work either. I don't know, man.
I think you got to get a coach to turn on him. It's the only way. It's the only definitive way. It's not even that definitive because, you know, you're just going on the testimony of someone else. But, like, it would be the most definitive way to prove that Harbaugh knew.
Are you saying that somebody that was a part of this, that used to be on the staff?
A former defensive coordinator, someone in that coaching staff who knew that Harbaugh knew. Because the reports suggest that, like, no one was supposed to report directly to Harbaugh, but someone probably reported to Harbaugh. I'd guess a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and we've heard this before. Like, even, you know, hey, Billy, we're going to get Billy a big old bag of cash, gym bag, and a car, and we set it up with a booster, and that's going to seal the deal. He's coming. And you'll hear about coaches going, don't tell me that. I don't know anything about it. But, like, the guy's been on your sideline. Like, you can't deny that. He's been on there's video evidence.
Whispering into the defensive coordinator's ear. He's right there. He's in the action. into multiple defensive coordinators' ears.
Nice shades on that. I mean, seriously, what disguise was that? Like Billy Manziel or
Right. I saw. No, I don't know. This
Bobby Valentine?
just more speculation, Chico. But I saw there was like a light in the corner of his glasses.
Yeah.
Wonder if he was like taping with the special sunglasses.
Yeah, somebody. I saw that part of it. This has just gotten so out of control. Absolutely out of control.
Yeah, I don't know what's true and what's not, what to believe, but it's all messed up.
Well, I think at this point, it's so bizarre as far as how this went down that anything you hear, you kind of do believe. Like, I mean, if you're going to go to these lengths, and they're ridiculous lengths, yeah, I have no reason to think that it's not BS. I mean, it's crazy. All right, do we have an update on Bohm? I gave you one job for crying out loud. Just kidding. If Deshaun Watson was on the practice field,
all I did hear was that Deshaun and PJ both did not address the media today, which is normally Wednesdays are their designated QB media address days. But the fact that PJ didn't address the media either, I think, is a little bit suspicious. Now, Stefanski did say that Deshaun will be limited, and then keeping the decision at day-to-day. So, limited participant.
Kevin Stefanski said P.J. Walker will start versus the Cardinals if Deshaun Watson can't play. That's coming from Mary Kay Cabot.
Okay, I didn't catch that one.
So, yeah, that's pretty significant because, again, there was a lot of people saying, DTR. It's not that I'm against DTR. I just want to know, has he improved? You can't just blindly say, well, you got to throw DTR out there. If he hasn't improved since the Baltimore game, why would you? Stefanski. What was interesting, though, is I think not too many days ago, he admitted he didn't know what the quarterback room looked like. Apparently now he's decided that P.J. Walker is the backup to Deshaun Watson if he can't go. That's where we're at, kids. They've got Arizona on Sunday. Then it gets real interesting with a couple division games, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Meanwhile, the health of Deshaun Watson, he's got to be coming back. That's why they didn't make a move. I don't know how much you really want to believe that. Like I said, I don't think it's not a matter of the Browns know and they're not saying anything. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think Deshaun knows. When we get video proof that is Connor or Colin, we also get video proof that Deshaun Watson has some velocity on his fastball, then we'll believe it. But until then, who knows? All right, we're out of time. Thanks to Brett Boone for joining us. Game 5 of the World Series tonight. Texas Rangers can close out the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll see if they continue that incredible road run. Would make it 11 straight road wins in the postseason. So we'll do it all again tomorrow. Updates on Deshaun, update on the Browns. Also chasing Eric Asilius and Chris Fedor from Cleveland.com. So we'll let you know about that tomorrow when we come on the air. For Michael Bohm, I'm Mike Chico Borman. Back with you again tomorrow at noon. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday afternoon, everybody. See ya.